let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Katie Kross. I am the Managing Director of the Center for Energy Development and the Global Environment here at Fuqua School of Business. And I'm joined today by one of our students, Puma, who we'll have a chance to hear from in a few minutes. Let me just tell you a few things before we get started about the format, as well as a little bit of an introduction to our session today. And then I'll ask Puma to introduce himself and talk about his experience in the program. We're really excited to be talking with you today about energy and environment at Fuqua. So we're going to be talking about the program offerings, all that EDGE and our partners have to offer you as an MBA student here at Fuqua. Just for the record, neither Puma nor I are directly involved with the admissions process. So if you have questions that are very specific to your application, essays, recommendations, I'm going to instead refer you to reach out to the admissions team at admissions-info@fuqua.duke.edu. But today we're going to talk to you about sort of all the program offerings and why you might want to come to Fuqua to study energy and environment, or why you might want to make it part of your experience while you're an MBA student here. Go ahead, and this is a live Q&A session. So go ahead and start entering questions in the Q&A box. And we have this iPad in front of us. We will see them and we will be able to answer them in real time as we go. If you have a question that's very unique to your own specific circumstance about your background and your admissions qualities, that's probably not the best fit for today's session. But if you have a question that you think others might also be interested in hearing the answer to, then we would love to address it live in our session today. And certainly Puma and I are also available to be a resource to you for questions after today's session as well. So let me just, by way of background, give you a little bit more context about EDGE and the program offerings here, and we'll set up some of our conversation. EDGE is the home for all things energy and environment at Fuqua. So EDGE is the Center for Energy Development and the Global Environment. I am the managing director. My partner is Dan Vermeer. He's our executive director. We launched EDGE together and have been at Fuqua since 2009, so 13 years, helping build the program the whole way. Dan does a lot of the teaching in our program. He's just finished up teaching his EDGE seminar class this morning, teaches a lot of our sustainability and energy electives. And I manage a lot of our extracurricular programs, including some of our thought leadership initiatives and our EDGE fellowship program, as well as some of our extracurriculars like bringing speakers to campus, things like that. So there's a ton of resources for you here at Fuqua if you're interested in energy and environment. We take a really broad tent when it comes to these issues. If you're interested in working in the energy sector, whether that's in oil and gas or renewables or energy finance, energy investment banking, energy consulting, we serve students and support students in their aspirations across that whole space. If you're interested in environmental issues, maybe corporate sustainability, ESG, impact investing, climate tech, environmental conservation. There's a whole host of career paths in that area too. And we also support students who share those interests. So there's a lot of ways to seek out specialized resources and cover that sort of whole spectrum of energy and environment here at Fuqua. And we deliberately put energy and environment together in our program here. This is maybe different than some of the other business schools you might be considering. We really believe that if you want to go into the energy sector as a career after graduation, the next 30 years of your career, no matter where you are in the energy sector, you are going to have some understanding of the environmental context that's changing the way that sector operates going forward and is going to influence all kinds of decision making for leaders in the energy sector. Likewise, if you want to work on sustainability issues in almost any capacity I can think of, you are going to have to know and understand at least a bit about energy, how it's procured, how it's generated, and how it impacts environmental decision making. So it's a broad, big tent, we call it. We have a lot of different student interests, but we really believe that your MBA experience will be enhanced by having some understanding of energy and environment and the intersection of those two. Just briefly, some of the things that we offer, our intention is to provide students with a robust portfolio of opportunities, so curriculum, extracurricular offerings, experiential learning, and career support. And you can go, as deep on these things as you want, or you can just do a little bit during your time as an MBA. So if you just want to take one class or come to one event, that's fine. If you want to go all in, we can keep you busy almost every day of the week, I think. And we offer classes. You can do a full MBA concentration in energy and environment, or a concentration in energy finance. Or like Puma, you can even do a dual degree, which takes 2 master's degrees, whether it's an MPP, Master's of Public Policy, and the MBA, like Puma here, or if it's a Master's of Environmental Management and an MBA, you can do those as joint degree options and compress those into a 3-year schedule. So we could talk a little bit more about that opportunity as well. But you don't have to do a dual degree. You don't have to complete a concentration. You could also just take 1 or 2 electives in the space. On the extracurricular front, we're bringing lots and lots of speakers to campus. There's conferences, there are clubs to get involved with. We're getting ready to host this year's Energy Week in a few months. It's a whole week of events related to energy, including the Duke University Energy Conference. The Net Impact Club also hosts an annual Sustainable Business and Social Impact Conference. So if that's more your speed, there's plenty of content and opportunity to help organize those events too while you're here. There are opportunities to go on tours and career treks and speak with speakers both in person and virtually while you're here. On the extracurricular learning front, we also have opportunities to participate in the Fuqua Client Consulting Practicum program. Some of you may have heard of that. That's the FCCP program. It is a class, so it's a curricular offering, but it's also experiential learning in the sense that you would be working on a team for a real-world client in real time on an energy and environment-specific project. So there are lots of FCCP projects every year. There's always a subset of those that are energy or sustainability related, and EDGE faculty oversee those. So you have an opportunity to go deep in the FCCP program if you want to. There are also opportunities to be an EDGE Fellow if you're interested in working on research and writing projects. And then finally, there's career support. So Fuqua is one of the few business schools, I believe, that we're lucky that we actually have a dedicated person in our career center, a sector director for energy sector careers. And we have another professional dedicated for social impact and sustainability careers. So you're going to have really specialized expertise no matter what your job search looks like, whether that's on campus or a custom search. And you also have the resources of students, the clubs, and staff like us who will help you do the networking, build the relationships, and do the outreach that's useful in your career. So you've probably heard about Team Fuqua. It is very much a lived culture here at Fuqua amongst all the students, faculty, staff, and our alumni. And it really bears out as you're reaching out to alumni for your careers, as you're asking second years to talk to you about their internships, as you're getting involved with all of the projects and activities on campus. Really wonderful, supportive community, and a lot of expertise that are specific to energy and environment here for you. So I'm going to ask Puma next to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about what you did before business school, what you're focusing on while you're in school, what maybe your internship was this summer too.
Yeah, a lot of things to talk about. Great to see you all guys here, interested in Fuqua and in EDGE. My real name is José Pumarejo, but 99% of the people call me Puma. That's first answer. Probably to one of the questions you were thinking in your heads. I'm a Mexican national. I was living in Mexico City before coming to Fuqua. I was a lawyer specialized in the energy industry and infrastructure, and I wanted to stay within the energy space. So that was the first thing. As a lawyer, I did not have, or at least did not have, the educational experience of other segments of the industry. Let's say I was specialized in regulatory practice, but not necessarily had knowledge of finance, operations, marketing, which is fundamental for any business, but most importantly for the energy space. You just mentioned the sustainability part when going into energy. Having a deeper understanding of what that is fundamental for anyone that's going to be in this space. So for me, it was very easy to decide which master's I wanted to study. That was the MBA. Obviously, being at Duke overall and at Fuqua with this like additional offering of being able to study 2 degrees instead of just 1, it is not mandatory. It is just for the people that want to study it, but it's a great addition to the education I wanted to get. Completely different concept, the public policy side. But as we were talking before this webinar in our class, the energy space being highly regulated, it is deeply connected with public policy and law overall. So I think it was a very easy transition for me. So came to Fuqua. I actually started in the public policy school. Studied one year there. Did my first internship at the World Bank in the doing business project, but specifically in the getting electricity unit, which was interesting to use a little bit of my background as a lawyer, but also what I was learning as a public policy analyst. Came to Fuqua, spent 1 year at Fuqua, had my internship at Apex Clean Energy, which is a great renewable, I won't even say it's a renewable energy developer anymore. It's actually independent power producer now, growing really quickly and focusing on accelerating the shift towards clean energy. And then I'm now in my final 3rd year, which I am living in a hybrid model where I spend half of the time in one school and half of the time in the other school.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do next?
That's the big question. And what I want to tell you guys is Fuqua has so much to offer. And when you come here, and especially if you want to specialize in the energy industry, you have so many options. So what do you want to do? Starts becoming a big question. At the beginning, when you arrive to the MBA, you might have similar thoughts to your peers. And then you see the wide offering and all the endless possibilities that you can create when coming here, that you start thinking about it again. And it's like, hey, do I want to work for a renewable energy company? Do I want to work for a tech company focused on renewable energy procurement? Do I want to do something completely different? Maybe shift now to green hydrogen, which is not my traditional background, but I was in the oil and gas industry before. So would that make sense for me or not? At the end, Fuqua provides you with not only all these resources, career resources, but also with the knowledge for you to kind of shift a career in whatever trajectory that you want. I actually saw one question that was like, hey, if I don't have any experience, can I shift my career? And the quick answer is yes. You will learn most of the stuff here. Obviously, you can always use the internet, but just all the resources that you get from the different class offerings and just edge your peers, the Energy Club, the FCCP that you mentioned, an experiential learning experience. You can come here not knowing anything and leave 2 years after being a highly specialized individual and professional.
Yeah, I think that we have a couple of questions. One is about, can you come in with no understanding of these industries or no work experience and pivot? And another one I think here is about, can you come in having worked in one part of the energy sector and pivot to another? And we have students that do all of that, right? We have students that come with some expertise in one environmental or energy area and want to pivot. We have some that want to change functions, and we have some who want to start and go into the energy or sustainability disciplines after school, and they're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So we start right off in the beginning of the year. Our first year started in August. We immediately had a welcome to the centers, Meet the Centers event. We have already had an Intro to Energy, Climate, and Clean Tech workshop for first years. We had a Sustainable Business and Social Impact Boot Camp for first years, and we just barely started our fall semester last week. Yeah. So if you want to get up to speed, there's plenty, you can jump right in. Absolutely, we have students that come from all different types of backgrounds. The trick is, I think, is to recognize that you need to have certain functional focus, and then you also want to have subject matter expertise. So if you say you want to move into the energy sector and you don't know a lot about energy, then we'll sort of make a map of what are the steps you should take to learn as much as possible about that industry. And at the same time, while you're doing your MBA, you're going to be building your skills, your functional skills in marketing, strategy, finance, operations, leadership, accounting, all of which will bear in whatever career you decide to choose after graduation. So there's a lot of potential. But yes, it's a big world, as Puma said, and a really great job market right now, to be honest. So there's so much.
Yeah, for those
happening.
of you who have been following the news, in the month of August, basically the U.S. Enacted the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. In other words, the energy industry is going to be a hot industry for the next decade or so. Yeah. So, plus you need to add to that climate change, overall change in the trends of how consumers are seeing the world. And just to give you an example, guys, is people in the past did not care where their electricity or energy came from. It was like, it works, I'm fine. Now, understanding what are other types of costs that are not typically not financial, people are thinking, hey, maybe this coal plant might be damaging the environment, and there's an alternative now. So people consumers are thinking that there's a different way, and also businesses are reacting to that. It's a great time to be in the energy industry. There's a lot of different types of opportunities that if you want to be in the M&A space, we mentioned consulting. If you want a more highly specialized function or job in the energy space, there's everything around the spectrum. I was remembering two things right now that you were, Katie, were mentioning. I just spoke with an exchange student from Argentina. He comes from an oil and gas background. And he said, you know what? I've been working on this for many years, and I think it's time to shift. We need to go into cleaner ways on how to do this. And his main focus will be green hydrogen. So he will use all the expertise that he had, which can be transferred, operationally speaking and financially speaking, to a new business model, which will be green hydrogen, or that it's a reality now. That is one option. I remember talking, I will not forget her name. She works at AES, Jenna Weinberg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was a student here. And I had one-on-one with her like last year. And I think that her background was 0% in energy. I think she used to ride horses, do horse riding before that, and she was very good at it, and then came to business school and wanted to do something different. And her advice for me was like, well, at least she shared her experience. It was, I had zero experience in the energy industry. I wanted to be focused on the financial part of the energy industry. So I got a concentration in energy finance, which is available here at Fuqua, right? By the way, that's the one I'm taking right now. So promoting it a little bit. On the other side, she tried every different course, resource at the school to increase her understanding of the industry. FCCP is a must if you don't have any experience. Why? Because you get to work with a real life client. This is just a company that hires Fuqua, and work with him or with it as if it was a class. Mm-hmm. So you're not getting paid, but also you're getting mentored by the company and by a professor at Fuqua while you're doing the job. This is a real life opportunity, or opportunity to get real life experience while you're at school, like not only the classroom. But at the same time, I think she participated in almost every energy week and emerging markets competition, and she was trying to get all the possible experiences and using all the resources that we have here, so that when she finished the 2 years, she would catch up with everyone else outside in the industry. Yeah. Or perhaps be further away, right?
Probably. We like to think so.
Yeah.
So you've talked about a lot of the great experiential learning and extracurriculars, especially with energy. And we also, I don't want to neglect sort of students who just want to do sort of more pure, like climate, water, blue economy, environmental conservation, ESG, impact investing. There are a lot of careers in that space as well. And as Puma mentioned, it's an exciting time in all of those industries. It's also just really meaningful to work on such big challenges, don't you think, that affect the world, that are going to have a purpose, that are going to contribute so much to society and be part of that transition to a cleaner energy economy.
Yeah, and when thinking about sustainability, I just want to remind everyone that I think that's a value that's already ingrained in Fuqua as a whole. So if you go to any class, you will probably encounter sustainability in almost every case. Because I don't think we have the benefit of thinking about the future, not including sustainability as something that is fundamental. Yeah, I think that not only the trend, but the mindset is changing. So you will see this not only in the classes like Edge, there's a whole semester just focused on sustainability, which is great if you're going down that path. But also every other class, even operations, will have a sustainability component now. I think that is a value ingrained at Fuqua, so it's not just energy. I'd say they're both connected, but if you want to focus more on one side, there's enough offering in the classes, not only the specialized courses, but also every core course at Fuqua.
Yeah. So Puma mentioned the EDGE seminar. Maybe I'll just explain that a bit. And we also had a question just about EDGE and what our mission and vision is in general. So Fuqua has 5 centers, and EDGE is one of them. The mission of each center is to support education, thought leadership, and industry engagement in our particular subject matter area. So there's also the Center for the Advancement of Social Entrepreneurship, the Center for Health Sector Management, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and COLE, the Coach K Center on Leadership and Ethics. Our subject matter area, obviously, is energy and environment. Our goal, like the other centers, though, is to play that sort of bridge between the outside world and Fuqua. So as Dean Boulding likes to put it, we bring the outside world in to Fuqua, and we bring the world of Fuqua out to industry. So we have an advisory board that we engage with regularly. We put out thought leadership. A couple of our signature programs that are might be really of interest to many of you. One is called ClimateCAP. We manage a partnership between, now we're up to 30 business schools that are focused on climate risk and opportunities for business. So the the business implications of climate. So it's called the ClimateCAP Summit. We have an annual event this year. One of our partner schools will be hosting the summit. In each spring, we're looking to grow the offerings in that program, and Fuqua is the originator and the lead anchor for the ClimateCAP partnership. We also have an initiative focused on oceans and the blue economy. Dan Vermeer co-leads Oceans at Duke initiative, which includes a blue economy summit focused on sustainable use of ocean resources. And then we have a third sort of major pillar initiative called MBA Edge, where we are publishing papers, basically primers on different social impact and sustainability and climate and energy topics that are accessible to any MBA student or alumni anywhere. So these are free downloadable resources. Certainly welcome you to check it out. And I mentioned earlier the EDGE Fellows program. One of you asked about the EDGE Fellows. We actually engage students to write papers with us for that platform. So if you go to the MBA Edge website, it's mba-edge.com. You might decide to pull down the primer on fashion and sustainability, what every MBA needs to know. And that paper was spearheaded by a student who worked then closely with me and with our faculty to put together a 6-page primer on sort of all the fashion industry sustainability issues and what the business risks and opportunities are. So we hope it's a useful resource to you. And if you're interested in that type of work, research and writing, that's another great way to do a lot of research about a topic you don't know about, and then become, a thought leader and have a publication credit to your name.
And I'd say there's an additional benefit to doing that. Obviously, everyone's trying, like, you come to business school, you got to get a job afterwards. But the writing ability is communication ability is highly appreciated in any job setting. Sometimes people in their previous careers did not have a chance to actually publish anything, but imagine coming here, being able to publish along Edge or throughout or along with other organizations that are linked to Fuqua, and you can come out of here saying, hey, I've got all this expertise, I have been able to publish it and to share it with the world. about topics I didn't even know. What does that say about you? I think that's just the incremental value of a professional that a lot of the consulting firms talk about. It's not where you are, but how able you are to use the resources that you have and reach a great result using actually the resources that you have available, right? That's on one side. On the other side, I was thinking right now that you mentioned a lot of the sustainability part in the corporate finance class. We analyzed some of the new rules for reporting. Scope,
ESG.
ESG, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions, right? And you go to class, and sometimes it sounds theoretical because you're there and you're thinking about how should we do this, and you're in a classroom setting. So a lot of people think, oh well, this is just a chat in the classroom. And I'm going to give you an anecdote of my recent internship. We were at a meeting room with all the C-suite. And then this topic comes up, like, how should we do this? Who's doing it this way? And I raised my hand and I was like, well, I actually know what's happening in this space. I actually have discussed what are the benefits, like the pros and cons of doing it this or that way. And everyone in the room thought like, hey, this person is highly specialized in this topic that is brand new. So I had a differentiator going in. It was not just energy. It was the fact that I knew from different lenses and different perspectives what should be done. And I'm not going to lie here. This is exactly what I said in that meeting room was exactly what we had discussed a couple months before in the classroom.
That is a great story.
Yeah. So
Awesome. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's super interesting that so much of this space, the companies it's new for companies too.
Yeah.
So they are having meetings like, oh, what are we going to do about SEC if the SEC mandates ESG disclosures, right? And they are going to be looking for professionals to come in with new ideas. And some of these fields like green hydrogen and long duration energy storage and carbon removal, like they're very, very new industries that are going to require you to jump in and help create new jobs for yourselves and figure out a path forward where there's not a well-worn track. So I think that gives you a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities and just the opportunities to really lead change in a way that you wouldn't if it was more sort of well-worn track.
And I tell everyone that, these companies are doing a great job, especially the renewable energy companies, right? Or at least I like them a lot. But sometimes they're just too busy on the operational side and their strategies that they don't always have the resources to be rethinking the world. And that's why they hire MBAs and other specialists too, because it is exactly here at places like Fuqua and at Edge that you start rethinking to rebuild the world and kind of lead the way to the future. They need that new perspective, that creativity that is built in schools, and that's an added value. So coming here gives you that companies want to have and that they don't have the immediate resources to do.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So a couple of you have asked questions about the dual degree option. So let's just talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
And here's the sort of the biggest questions I get asked, not just here. Which dual degree should I do? Should I do a dual degree? Mainly, what's the difference between doing an MBA with a concentration in energy and environment or doing a dual degree? So I'll give you my answer, then you can share your personal experience. But it really is, a dual degree is doing 2 full masters. So if you come here and you do the 2-year MBA program with a concentration in energy finance or a concentration in energy and environment, you're going to take, a certain number of electives to fulfill that concentration. But you're going to have almost all of your classes will be here at Fuqua. It's definitely possible to take 1 or 2 outside of Fuqua as part of your MBA. But most of your classes will be here at Fuqua. And, a short list of electives will make up what you need for the concentration requirement. Versus doing an MBA plus an MEM, Masters of Environmental Management, or an MF, a Masters of Forestry, or an MPP, a Masters of Public Policy, where you're really going to have the full curriculum of that other master's and a master's project in addition to your MBA. So the way it works is that students typically spend 1 year at their other master's program, typically first. then 1 year at Fuqua for their first year MBA, and then the third year is split between the two programs, and usually involves finishing up a master's program. And the total credits required for each master's are reduced, but you'll have to fulfill still a majority of the concentration of your MBA and a majority of the concentration of your other master's degree. So you're getting a lot more content of that other master's than you would if you were just doing the MBA and taking a class or two outside of Fuqua. And the real key, I think, in terms of selecting your second master's for your joint degree is to really look closely at that other school's curriculum, because you're going to be spending a lot of time in those classes, much more than if you just took one or two electives. And you really want to be sure that, think through sort of all the list of classes, how those are going to be additive to what you're doing with your MBA, and whether that's an area that you want to build expertise in addition to your MBA.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. I'm very honest and very practical. So I was looking at the question, and do I need a dual degree? No, you don't need it. You don't need anything, actually. If you're going to get the MBA, it all depends on what you want to get out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll talk generally and then about my case.
Yeah.
An MEM or an MPP is a completely different mindset to the MBA. Completely different mindset. Obviously, there's places where it overlaps, and there's classes that there's an overlapping or an interconnection, but it's a different mindset. From my experience in the MPP, the way how you write, the way how you approach problems, the values that you're thinking about are very different. Even though we try to interconnect them with business, they don't exactly overlap all the time. Classes are physically into different schools. You effectively study two masters. It just Duke makes it easier for you to be able to study both masters in less time, and recognizing the overlap of the interests, etc. And at the end, the dual degree will depend on what you want to do with it. So if you want to study an MBA and you only want to get like X amount of skills from that, you can get a concentration, and that might be enough for you, but it depends. In my case, I really wanted to get something additional than just the business experience, which was understand how the business translates into policy and how the policy translates into business, which is much more complex than one would think at the beginning. Then it was important for me because I was a lawyer, I was doing M&A and regulatory practice. So in this highly regulated industries, what the policy is deeply affects what the business is going to be. There are other industries that are not as deeply affected or impacted by changes in policy. But we were just talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. That is a game changer for the industry, a complete game changer. You're going to see renewable energy development, battery storage, green hydrogen, all around the U.S. The U.S. is going to become the leader
electric vehicles, charging,
charging,
nature-based solutions.
There are so many things that will transmission, distribution, perhaps public-private partnerships, and many things, integration of existing infrastructures. There are so many things that are impacted by policy with the business. So for me, that was a must.
Yeah,
it was a must. I need to get this out. For other people, the MEM is a must, but they want also over the MBA is a must, and then the MEM is also a must. So they kind of combine those interests. Yeah. You don't need it. It is a great enhancement to your education. It is definitely more work because it's 3 years instead of 2.
Sure.
You gotta understand the dynamics at every school. You gotta change the mindset when you go to one class to the other. I'd say the first 2 years are pretty straightforward. The last one, which is hybrid, you kind of move around. So you go like
you just started.
Yeah, I know, but I started 1 week earlier on the other school. So you put it a cap, and then you change the cap of like a policy analyst and start the business one, and back and forth. And I'm also taking classes. This is one good thing that people need to know. When you study the dual degree, you can also take, in my case, as a Sanford MPP, I take a lot of classes in the Nick School of Environment, which is fantastic because I get more technical expertise from those classes than what I would typically get from offers in other schools. So I can combine that to the education that I want to get out here.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with it, the Nicholas School of Environment is just a couple doors down from Fuqua. The Sanford School of Public Policy is across the street. And if you were considering one of the Nicholas School degrees, you would take a lot of classes in environmental science, environmental policy, environmental economics. It would really give you a depth of technical expertise. They also have, for those of you interested in energy, they have a concentration in energy over there, including classes on energy modeling and power markets that are really phenomenal. So, and several others. I think there's energy technology class. So there's a lot to take advantage of here.
There's a lot.
But the point that I think the most critical thing is to think about where you want to end up. So what's the end goal for you? Think about what you want to do after grad school. What does that career look like? And then what are the skills that you already have from your past work experience? And then you have to ask yourself the question, like, will it help me to have a dual degree? Do I just need an MBA? What are the classes and the skills that I want to develop during grad school that'll help me get to where I'm going? And there are probably more than one way to check those boxes. But for some students, it's, I really want 2 degrees to really give me expertise that maybe I don't have from my past work experience or my undergrad. For some students, it might be like, well, I know I want to go into finance or marketing, so I'm going to really double down on those skills, and I'm going to learn about the energy sector or environmental issues through my extracurriculars.
Yeah. I read a question that was very easy to answer. So I'm going to go ahead.
Good.
I'm going to go off
for it.
script. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there somebody from the Sanford Public Policy School was asking, hey, what type of guest speakers do you have at Edge? We just came from there.
Yeah.
And, well, it was just a former commissioner of the FERC, which is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Yeah, I always get.
Yeah.
I don't always get the acronym right, but one of the persons with the largest amount of experience in the sector, he came physically to Duke just to deliver this talk in the Edge seminar. Pretty cool guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty cool guy, down to earth. This is the type of people that you will meet, and also potential to build a network for yourself.
So we kind of alluded to this, but just if you don't know, there is a class. Edge is a center, but there's also a class that we call the Edge Seminar on Energy and Environment. And it's a 1.5 credit class. In the fall, we bring in speakers for that class that are primarily from the energy sector, talking about energy issues. And the spring, students could take the class again, and we bring in speakers that are primarily from more environmental or sustainability lens. So it's a wide range of speakers. We have 6 speakers in the fall, 6 in the spring. Students could take it fall or spring or both. You could take it more than once, so you could take it in your first year and your second year. And we have different speakers all the time, and we try to bring in a really interesting mix. We'll have some this fall, besides our speaker today, we'll have a couple of entrepreneurs. We have a waste to energy business. We have a low carbon fuels business.
Financial.
We have a renewables investment speaker. And in the spring, we'll probably bring in different aspects of corporate sustainability or climate tech or ESG investing. And you can see, if you're interested, you can see the list of past speakers, well, the current semester speakers and past speakers on our Edge Center website. So I'll say it again at the end, but the website is www.fuqua.duke.edu/edge. And when you're there, you can take a look at all of our sort of description of the dual degrees, the concentration, some of the extracurricular offerings, and there is a page for the Edge seminar where you can learn a little bit more about that. So that's one vehicle that we know we're always going to have great speakers coming in, but there's also a lot of other opportunities. The Energy Club manages lots of events, including the Duke University Energy Conference. So they'll be bringing in lots and lots of speakers. That's open to the public as well as the entire Duke campus. Their speaker series called Power Lunches that's put on by the Nicholas Institute for Energy, Environment, and Sustainability. There will be informational interviews with alumni that we'll do sort of a group informational interview format. Whenever we have alumni visiting campus for recruiting, we also set up coffee chats with them. I met with an alum this morning. It was really fun to see her. She was coming to talk at the finance symposium, but she was a dual degree student. So just really, really great community and great opportunities to engage on a lot of fronts.
It's amazing how big the energy and environment network at Fuqua and overall Duke is.
Yeah.
It's just huge. You're talking about like so many opportunities. We have a Power Up conference today, right? At the, in the evening. And it's funny because I'm writing my master's project, and I was like, hey, I need more ideas about this topic. And then Power Up Series comes up. Hey, we have a seminar exactly on what you need to research. So logged in immediately, registered, and I'm going there. So this is the kind of stuff that you get at Fuqua and overall at Duke. So many resources. I'm also part of the Energy Club that we have a lot of stuff. Not everything is professional. Sometimes we have some nice mixers, so you get to know your peers and other people that are in the industry. Because don't forget, guys, a lot of the knowledge you get it from your peers, just from debating, discussing, sharing information, and bringing people that are as passionate as you and are as knowledgeable as you to the same place. Just increases your chances of building not only a broader network, but a broader skill set and knowledge in the industry that you want to specialize in.
Great. So we have a question here asking for more information about the SBSI conference, which I'm happy to share. One of the great things about Fuqua is that there's so many opportunities for you as a student, not just to like passively go and sit in on a workshop, but actually to be part of the vision of creating an event or a panel or a conference. So the SBSI conference is the Sustainable Business and Social Impact Conference. It's been running for probably 15 plus years now at Fuqua. It happens in the spring semester, so I believe it's February this year. It is a day-long conference, open just like the energy conference to the entire Duke community and local industry professionals. And it's student organized. So there are student co-chairs of the conference. There are then subcommittees for marketing and operations and speaker engagement. And it's an incredible opportunity for you as a student, not just to attend an event, but to actually be instrumental in planning it. So selecting the topics, selecting the speakers, getting that leadership and project management experience of putting on a successful event for 400 plus people. And it's always a really great day. Definitely check it out, and especially if you're local or want to attend in person. I'm sure they'll be opening registration sometime later this fall, and it's a great time to come see Fuqua in action and learn a little bit while you're here too.
Yeah.
Were you involved? Have you been involved with like putting on? Talk about your club leadership.
Okay.
Because there's plenty of those.
Related to energy or related to everything else?
There's besides putting on events, you can have all these cabinet roles on different clubs.
Yeah.
So tell us what you're involved with.
I'm gonna tell you about kind of more professional club, which is the Energy Club, and a more recreative, which is the soccer club. I'm the co-president of the soccer club. If you could, not everything is just work. It's also having fun, obviously. There's basketball, baseball, volleyball, everything. But I'd say
the wine club.
Yeah,
right?
the wine club, the beer club, the ski and snowboarding club. We had our club fair yesterday, where you can, there's tables around, and you can just register if you want. You can usually do it online, but it's better to get to meet the co-presidents and who's leading this. These are fantastic opportunities for you to develop leadership skills, because everything's student-led. You need to propose a budget. Even the student council, it's fully independent and student-led, so there's no professors messing around with you. It's just, this is for this by the students for the students, and you want to build something, you can do it from a club that already exists. A club doesn't exist, you can build the club that you want. You just need to bring enough attention to it. So there's a lot of opportunities. As a co-president, I get to organize mixers, bring in speakers, traveling. So, by the way, I like bragging about this. Fuqua is right now the current NBA champion, like in the U.S. because we
soccer?
Yeah, in soccer.
Your soccer team.
Yeah,
Your soccer team is the
our
best.
soccer team
Okay.
beat Harvard last
Nice.
spring in Austin. That's a big tournament that UT Austin organizes, and we're the current champions. So I think that's worthy of
Nice.
just bragging about overall, because
Awesome.
you get to travel with your friends, compete a little bit, meet people from other schools, expand your network, just have fun overall. And then on the professional side, I mean, we've heard a lot of things. Right now, as part of the Energy Club, I'm going to be involved in the Energy and Emerging Markets competition. This year, I'm going to be a judge for round 1, which is very exciting. So if you guys have previous experience in the sector and still want to kind of up your game, you can do that. And actually, if you win, I mean, there's a prize, a money prize, right? So there's a lot of options at Fuqua and leadership opportunities, whether that's professional or recreative clubs overall.
Yeah. And I mean, you can compete in the Energy and Emerging Markets case competition,
Yeah.
or you could be on the team organizing it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's true. Yeah,
or
my
you can
friend
do one year and one the next year.
Cici was organizing everything. She's great. People from outside of Fuqua can register for that, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Grad students.
So we're expecting a lot of people to come in. It's going to be great, like it was last year. This is going to be a year without COVID, so the opportunity to build a network and have fun and learn is just spectacular.
Great. So we have a question here about the EDGE board, and then we have a question, then I'll turn to you about the dual degree splitting time. So I can answer the question about the EDGE board. So EDGE has an advisory board. You can see that on our website too. I think we're at 19 executives on our board currently. Some are alumni, some are not. They come from all different industries. One of the advantages and the challenges of having this big tent approach is that our advisory board, we have folks from big companies and small companies. We have venture capitalists. We have NGOs. We have members who are from consumer goods industries, and then we have members from big oil and gas. So it's a really, really interesting mix of professionals on our board. They do come to campus once a year in the fall for our fall EDGE advisory board meeting. And then typically in the spring, we go offsite and have a meeting in another city. And there are opportunities for students to engage with those board members. Sometimes we have opportunities at the meetings for students to plug in or attend a lunch or reception with them. But then many of our board members also, they are ones who sponsor an FCCP project, right? So they participate in our board, but they also then go back to their company and solicit a project for students to work on. Or maybe they're involved directly with recruiting. So they might come to campus to do recruiting, or maybe they come to speak in the energy conference before they stay for our board meeting. So there's a lot of different points of intersection. Often students come and they'll meet with me, and our first starting point will be, let's talk about what you're interested in, and then let's help you figure out who to connect with for informational interviews or for networking. And we can draw on the resources of not just our board, but the alumni that we know, our personal networks, students, that all of our students are terrific resources too, because they've just come from internships or have worked potentially in different parts of the industry before they come to campus. So often, especially this time of year where we're doing a lot of networking, we'll have students come in and say, I want to learn more about corporate sustainability in the CPG industry. Who would you recommend I speak with? And that's where I can say, well, here's a board member that might be relevant, or here's an alum, or here's a student who just came back from an internship in that space. And these are some of the folks that you should meet with. So let's switch gears and talk about the question about your dual degree and how you balance your time. And
I'm just going to say something about what you just mentioned. Katie is the best resource you can find here. I actually spoke to her during the summer because I needed to contact somebody about a topic about my master's degree, and she'll just come up with a list of alumni, people related to the board, or just people that she and Dan know, or other people at Fuqua know. That is fantastic. You don't need, obviously you do your own research, etc. But
Yeah, do a little bit of
Yeah,
research.
but it's still a fantastic
Yeah.
resource to have somebody as you that you can call at any time and like, how do I do this?
Thank you.
Yeah. And now switching gears to the MPP MBA. So that question is about opportunity costs, like everything in life. The short answer is yes. There's opportunity costs to studying 2 degrees.
Read the
Oh,
question, yeah.
Yes.
Because
So did
it
you
might not
fe-
be visible to them.
Yeah, so did you feel you were splitting time between 2 degrees and not fully getting the experience of each degree in school? Did you feel like you missed out on some experiences at all? So, opportunity costs, yes. I did not, for the most part, I did not miss opportunities. What I did is sleep less. That was my solution. Probably feasible for some people and not feasible for others. When you're here, you want to gain as much as possible. It's the personal experience, making friends, having fun, and learning as much as possible. Because when you go back to the workforce, you're going to be learning, but not in the same way as in school. So, there's a couple of things that you obviously need to be strategic about, especially if you're recruiting at that moment of the semester. But like everything else, do I go to the soccer match or do I study a little bit more? Do I want to go to the gym, or I want to go to this concert or travel, or do like anything else, like study a course online? It's like everything else in life. I'd say that the first year is of a dual degree is the first 2 years are quite straightforward because you spend you spend all of the time in one school. So first year one, second year and the other one, and then the third year is the mixed year, which it could be a little bit more complex. Like Sanford is across the campus, so it's across the street, so it's pretty close. It's not that far. Like you'll make it there in 3 minutes. It's just you will need to decide, and that's a good thing. It's a happy problem because you have so many options. You choose whatever you want. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to have that FOMO no matter what.
Yeah.
Because there's like 60, I think, clubs. And
No way
there's
you can-
all these opportunities. There's fellowships. There's classes to take. There's any given night. There's several company presentations or activities to go to. So you'll have to be making choices. But I think it's really helpful to start thinking as you come into Fuqua. What are my objectives, right? As you come to Duke, what are my objectives? What do I want to get out of grad school? And then which of these things, you're going to have to say no to some things. So which of these things is going to be the most advantageous to you? Also allow yourself some fun in there, right?
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't only have to be career focused, but you will have to make some choices, and there'll be some things that you wish you could take and you just won't be able to because you have to sleep a little bit.
Yeah, and you have to do other stuff.
But it's nice to be able to have all those choices. And I think that makes a Fuqua degree really customizable. So you have to trade off, like my friends are doing X and I want to go to this instead. But you really can make the experience what you want by choosing which courses, which concentrations, which clubs you're involved with, and putting it all together in a package that's really, really individual to you and your experience, what you want to get out of it.
I think that's a very important part about Fuqua overall. One of the reasons, the main reason why I chose Fuqua, main two reasons was Team Fuqua by far. It's not just a marketing slogan, it's real, guys, but for real. People are like that here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best branding. And second, it was I think that the Fuqua MBA, along with Edge and the Duke Energy Initiative, well, they now changed name, I think, is the best offering for an MBA-focused, energy-focused school. I couldn't find another school that was as good as this one and related to energy matters, especially renewable energy and sustainability. The thing is, you get the chance to customize your schedule and what you want to learn. And I don't think you get that in every school. Here, there's a vast flexibility for you to create your own learning experience. And then there's just so much offering and resources that you get to choose. It's a happy problem. So you have fun actually making the schedule work, because there's so many classes that you want to take that sometimes it's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great note to end on, because we're almost out of time. And I think we got to most of the questions, but certainly if there's something on your mind that we didn't get to, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to check out our EDGE website. Again, it's fuqua.duke.edu/EDGE. We also, once you get there, we have links to the Energy Club, to the Net Impact Club, to the member club. We call them members, the Masters of Environmental Management MBA club. I don't think we're big enough to have an MPP MBA club yet, do we?
Not yet, but it's a work in progress.
And lots of the other stuff that's happening on campus. You could join our mailing list. You could follow up with questions from LinkedIn or find my contact info there. And then, of course, if you have admissions-related questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. It's admissions-info@fuqua.duke.edu. And best of luck to you. We hope Fuqua will be part of your journey, and we hope to see you here soon. Thanks.